Hi, everyone, and welcome back to English Podcasters, your space for learning simple English through real life stories and warm conversations. I'm Maya. If you're listening right now at home or on a long ride, pause for a second and take a deep breath. Just being here means you're making progress. Every time you listen, you're growing your confidence for the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Leo, and I am so happy to be here talking and learning with you today. Maya, I have to be honest with you. This morning, I was looking at my calendar, and I felt a little bit overwhelmed. My schedule was full of notes like finish report by Friday or wait until Monday. My brain felt tired just looking at the words. I started thinking about our listeners and how many of them might feel that same quiet pain when they try to organize their lives in English. Have you ever felt like your schedule was a puzzle you couldn't solve? Not because you were busy, but because the words for time felt like a heavy mountain between you and your plans.
Oh, Leo, that frozen moment is something almost every learner faces in real life. You study so hard at home with your books, but then you step outside into the office or a meeting, and your brain feels like it is doing too much work. You worry about choosing the wrong word. Is it by, until, or from? And in that second of doubt, the conversation feels heavy.
Exactly. It feels like a test I wasn't ready for. I didn't want to sound like a robot, and I definitely didn't want to miss an important deadline because I misunderstood a tiny preposition. And that is why today's episode is so important. We are talking about your schedule made simple and mastering those three common but confusing words: by, until, and from. We want to help you move away from book English and start using life English, the kind of English that feels human, natural, and kind.
I love that. And friends, before we dive into our calendars and clocks, we have a small, friendly request. If this podcast helps you feel even a little more understood or confident, please subscribe to English Podcasters and click the like button. It really helps our family of learners grow, and it tells us that you want more lessons that help you speak from the heart.
So Maya, let's start with the big one. By. In my head, by always feels like it has a little bit of pressure attached to it. Is that right?
You are very observant, Leo. That is exactly how it feels. In simple words, remember that by means before or not later than a deadline. It is a final time limit. For example, if I tell you, I will finish my coffee by 10:00, that means 10 is the latest possible time. Maybe I finish at 9:45, or maybe at 9:59, but definitely not at 10:01.
I see. So by gives us a limit. Like when a manager says, send me the report by Monday. Monday is the deadline. I can send it on Saturday or Sunday, but if I send it on Tuesday, I am late.
Exactly. Now, let's compare that with until. This is where the confusion usually starts. Until means that an action continues up to a specific time and then stops. If you say, I will study until 6 p.m., it means the action of studying continues for hours, and you stop when the clock hits 6.
Ah, this is the biggest difference. By equals a deadline, but until equals a continuous action. Let's make it clear with two sentences. I will wait until 8 p.m. and I will arrive by 8 p.m. In the first one, I am waiting the whole time. In the second one, I just need to be there before 8.
Perfect. Now, let's add the third helper, from. This word usually shows a starting point. For example, I work from 9 a.m. It tells the listener when the story begins. We often combine from and until to give complete information, like, the shop is open from Monday until Friday.
That feels very complete. Start and end. But Maya, I often hear learners make a mistake with from. They say, I will finish the project from Friday.
Yes, that sentence wants to escape because finishing is a deadline we must use by. You should say, I will finish the project by Friday. Remember the logic of finishing. Finishing is a point in time, not a long duration.
Okay, so if the action continues, I use until. If it is a deadline, I use by. And if it is a starting point, I use from. Those are three simple rules.
They are. But listeners, please don't panic about memorizing these rules like a test. English grows with use, not stress. If you make a mistake and say, I will wait by 6, people will still understand that you are there waiting. Communication is a bridge, not an exam.
I love that. A bridge, not an exam. Having an accent or using the wrong preposition just means you are brave enough to speak more than one language that is a superpower. Instead of thinking, my English is bad, try saying, my English is improving every day. That small change in your self-talk removes the heavy pressure.
Precisely. Now, let's look at a situation that involves work life, because that is where these words appear every day. Imagine your manager asks, when will you arrive at the office?
I would say, I'll be there by 9 a.m. because I am promising to arrive before that time. But then, if a colleague asks, how long are you staying? I say, I'll stay until 5 p.m.
Perfect natural English. One is about the point of arrival, and the other is about the duration of your stay. Let's try a little role play for our listeners so they can hear these working together in a natural way. Imagine it is your birthday party planning session.
I'm ready. Maya, I am planning a party for next Saturday. Can you come?
I'd love to. What time does it start?
The party is from 6 p.m. until midnight, but please try to arrive by 7 so you don't miss the cake.
I'll definitely be there by 7. I'm usually busy until 5, but I'll have enough time to get ready.
See? Maya used until to show her continuous work before the party and by to promise her arrival time. We didn't stop to think about grammar tables. We thought about our plans.
And did you notice, friends, that Leo used a listening phrase? He said, I see. This shows he is present and engaged.
Maya, let's talk about the mindset of our schedules. Many of our friends listening feel like their English progress is too slow. They feel like they are waiting until they are fluent before they start living their lives in English.
Oh, I know that quiet pain. But friends, please hear me. Progress is not a straight line. Some days you feel like a conversation magician, and some days you feel like a confused robot. Both are normal. On your hardest days, don't run, just don't stop. Even if you only say one sentence today, like, I'll finish this by noon, that is a victory for your future.
Don't run, just don't stop. I love that image. It's like walking in the fog, you only see a few steps, but those steps still move you forward. Maya, I noticed something tricky about the word from. Sometimes we don't need it at all, right?
You are right, Leo. In English, we don't always use from like in other languages. If you are talking about when you started preparing something, you could say, I started preparing last week, or I have been preparing since last week. Using from last week alone can sometimes sound a bit incomplete.
That is a great tip. And what about by when it's not about time?
Good question. Sometimes by shows how we do something, like I go to work by bus, or it shows who did an action, like this book was written by a famous author. But for today, we are focusing on the time logic because that is what helps you organize your life.
Speaking of logic, let's talk about a mistake I see a lot in emails. Someone might write, I will study by 10 p.m.
Ah, yes. That sentence feels incomplete. If you mean you will finish all your studying before 10, then it is correct. But if you mean you will continue to study and then stop at 10, you must say, I will study until 10 p.m., meaning decides the word.
Meaning comes first. I feel like I'm breathing easier already. English becomes softer when we understand its logic.
Let's look at a situation that feels very heavy for many learners. Social problems or news stories. Sometimes we hear about a community program that helps families in need. How would we use our time words there?
Maybe I could say, the food drive is from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Or, please donate your clothes by Friday evening.
Perfect. You used from and until for the full duration of the event, and by for the deadline of the donation. This shows that even in serious situations, these small words help you express responsibility and action.
Maya, I noticed that in American English, we sometimes say till instead of until. Is that okay?
Yes. Till and until mean the same thing. For example, I'll wait till 6 p.m. is just a more informal way of saying, I'll wait until 6 p.m. Both are 100% correct in daily conversation.
I like that. Till feels a bit lighter. Now, friends, if you are having a flat day, a day where English feels like a heavy mountain and you feel like you aren't progressing at all, please listen to this. You are allowed to be tired, but please don't quit. Even if you only learn the difference between a deadline and a duration today, you are winning.
Don't run, just don't stop. That image of the fog is so helpful, Leo. Let's try a role play about a work interview, because interviews make many of our listeners nervous.
Okay, I'm the interviewer. When can you complete this project?
I can finish the first part by Wednesday. Then, I'll work on the rest until Friday.
That sounds good. And what are your working hours?
I am usually available from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m.
Notice how professional Maya sounds. By using by for her deadline, she shows she is responsible and follows a plan. And by using until for her schedule, she shows she is consistent.
And notice, friends, that I didn't use big, scary words. Quality is better than length. Even simple English can express deep understanding and action. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be clear.
Let's talk about another common mistake at home. Someone might say, I stayed by midnight.
Oh no. Since staying is a continuous action, you must use until. So, you say, I stayed until midnight. By would only work if you arrived at a place before midnight.
Stay until. Arrive by. That is a very clear pattern. English loves patterns. Maya, what happens when we use these words in negative sentences?
That is an advanced question, Leo. In a negative sentence, the meaning can change strongly. If you say, I won't finish this until tomorrow, it means the finishing happens tomorrow. But if you say, I won't finish this by tomorrow, it means you cannot meet the deadline. One means success is coming later, and the other means failure is happening now.
Wow. So, I won't leave until you apologize sounds like a strong condition.
Exactly. Until often shows a condition in negative sentences. It means, I am staying right here until something changes.
English is so rich with emotion. Every word is like a mirror of our heart. Maya, let's give our listeners a very simple schedule formula they can use this week.
Good idea. Step 1. Identify if it is a starting point, use from. Step 2. Identify if the action continues, use until. Step 3. Identify if there is a deadline, use by. And step 4. Use soft words like basically or actually to sound natural.
From, until, by. I'm going to practice that by describing my day to my coffee cup. It is from 8 to 9, and I must finish my work by noon.
You've got it. We are so incredibly proud of you for staying with us until the end of this episode. It shows you are dedicated to your story and your growth. Remember, your voice matters, even if it shakes.
Now, we have a small challenge for you, an English Podcasters Challenge. In the comments below, tell us about your schedule for tomorrow, using our magic words.
For example, I am going to study English from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m., and I will finish my homework by 8 p.m. Or even better, I am listening to this podcast until I feel confident.
We read every single comment, and we smile because every sentence you write is a sign of your small courage. Your journey is unique, and we are so happy to be walking it with you.
Take small steps. Use your soft words. Don't be afraid of the silence, and don't be afraid of the mistakes. You are closer than you think, and you are doing better than you realize.
We'll see you in the next episode of English Podcasters. Keep speaking, keep growing, and always remember, even a whisper counts as a victory.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful, brave day.
Bye. Remember, time is your partner, not your enemy.